Yeah.
Come back.
Back
Yeah.
again, wearing the same
It's
clothes.
in the second of our doubleheader.
Yeah, I liked the whole hipster thing so much. I decided to adopt it as my permanent fashion.
I de-hipstered by unbuttoning my collar.
You were 2 buttons away from being a hipster.
Yeah.
Where did you get the chest hair? That's. See, you went from
Yeah.
hipster to
Man.
Guido.
Yeah.
You went from
Guido,
hipster to
that's
Guido in like
what are you gonna do?
in two small movements. Anyway,
Before we get started with what we're talking about today, we wanted to add one more thing about kind of what we were talking about in the last episode about becoming a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I were talking about the fact that like you make the point that students should choose to be teachers, that they should want to be a teacher. You're studying education, it's a noble profession, you should do it. And we were talking about why the teachers here at the university don't push the students to do more.
Maybe they are doing their best. Like Ajahn Joe, I want to mention this one because he taught me the method of English teaching, something like that. And he always said that you have to be responsible for this one. Teaching, listening, you have to have the idea. This one, see, okay, you have to teach a student like this. Don't you have to be responsible? He keeps saying that you have to be responsible. So that's that's amazing for me. I realize a lot. So I need this kind of thing more. Okay, I need this kind of thing more from the teachers, not only an English our English department, but from all of us the teacher in this university. I want all of my juniors friends because I graduated. I'm done here now, but I want all of my junior friends to be surrounded by the good environment of encouraging to be a teacher. It's like that. But I know the point that it's not like forcing them to be teacher. Even if we are the faculty for teacher, give them a choice. That's good. But you have to teach with the motivation because everyone can feel. I believe everyone can feel the feeling of the teacher. If you are so in teaching, they will believe in you. Like I can feel that both of you have a strong feeling about teaching. Maybe you just only do your best, but I can feel okay, you're doing your best. What about me? What about us? Okay, I have to do like you, something like that.
yeah, I agree. I think that if you have a group of individuals or if you have a group of students who have absolutely decided that yes, I want to teach, definitely. Um, Everyone has moments where it's a big workload or student teaching is a lot to handle, and it's normal for you or anyone, for me or anyone watching this, to second guess what they want to do. But as far as giving students motivation, I think that more comes in the form of having a group of students who want to teach, who would be good teachers, but they're having a moment where life is kind of like coming down on them, and they're second guessing that path that they chose 4 or 5 years ago. Then I agree. I think that it's part of our job description to come in and to and to encourage the students, or to motivate them or incite them to work harder, or to do more, or to remember why they started this program in the first place. But then for students who have already made up their minds that teaching is not for them,
Mm.
I'm not going to push a student who really I'm is really just made the decision that teaching is really not for him or for her,
Mm.
and that he or she feels like by going into teaching they would actually be doing a disservice to the students because their heart is not in it, or they don't care, or it's too much work or whatever. If they don't have if, as Phil mentioned before, if you don't want to be a teacher, like you're really pushing against doing that profession, you're probably not going to be a very good teacher, obviously, like a very effective teacher.
And it'll be hard for you.
It's going to be, yeah.
Like it'll be harder to put up with being a teacher than if you want to teach.
Yeah. So if it's something you want to do, you deal with sometimes students don't pay attention,
Mm.
or you put a lot of yourself into something and then a lot of students fail an exam, or like all of those little things that if you really love the job, you let those things kind of like roll past you and you're like, all right, we're going to try it again next time. But if you really hate the job, all of those little things
Give
will
up
just,
easily.
yeah, will just tear you up.
Yeah.
And I think also we're different from other university degree programs
Mm.
in that if we were teaching like at a medical school, you can assume that most people there want to be doctors, and even if they don't really love being a doctor, they're still going to be a doctor because it's a good job.
Yeah.
Same thing with like the engineering school, the pharmacy school. Like
Mm.
if you have students that are majoring in law, they're going to go to law school, they're going to take the bar, and then they're going to make lots of money,
Yeah,
right? Well,
and the
maybe not in Thailand, but in the U.S. especially. And so
That's,
there, with other schools, you could push them more.
yeah.
Like this is what you're going to do.
yeah,
You're on
you're
this
in an,
path,
yeah,
and blah blah
yeah,
blah. Whereas for us, it's more clear. Like you don't have to choose this, and if you have doubts, then you probably shouldn't.
yeah.
And if you do this and you don't love it, it's going to be hard for you, and you're going to put yourself in a bad position, and you're going to do some bad things for the
Yeah.
students. Like not give them the education that they deserve
Yeah.
because you don't want to do your job.
Right.
And so for us, it is more a question of like how much should we push, and and also make the options clear, especially in Thailand. Like if you don't want to be a teacher and you're here in this education school and the English program, you could do this and this and this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one thing to take a student who is misguided and for even a moment who's having a tough time in its student teaching and maybe had a really tough week and feels a little heartbroken. But I know because as we spoke about this in the past, we get to know you, all of you very, very well because we see you every semester. So if I know that you're just having a tough time, then I will push you. I'll help to like I'll help you to like rally and pull yourself together, and I'll motivate you to keep going. But if
Yeah.
you really just don't want to do it, as Phil said, and again, you're doing a disservice to students who deserve a good education and who deserve to have a teacher who wants to be there.
It is like if I'm a teacher here, I would say I would motivate them to be a teacher like my way. And but if I found the case like if that student that doesn't want to be a teacher, okay, I would just say that at least you have to be responsible. If once you are a teacher, being responsible is very important because the problem in Thailand, as far as I've seen, is like the person who lacked of motivation, who lacked of believing in teaching, believing in English, they are a teacher. So what can they pass the student? What passion can they pass to the students? So they just teach. This kind of person thinks may think like teaching is just telling the book. Teaching is just like you have to have knowledge, you have to be good at English. That's it. But it's actually more than that. Yes.
If you look at teaching any subject as only going through the book, then that's gonna you're gonna have a really it's gonna you're gonna have a really terrible time, and you're never going to enjoy your job. And there's days for everyone, like teachers and people who are not teachers, where you don't love your job, right? You go home and you think like, why did I do this?
Mm.
But that should be rare. That should be the exception, that you really go home and you feel beat up and you don't like it and you're bored. So I agree. But if you look at like any job, but specifically talking about teaching, if you look at it like just going through a book, then you're going to have a really, really tedious and
Boring.
yeah, your job is going to be filled with tedium and monotony, and it's going to be boring for you. And then that attitude towards your job has an effect on your personal life as well. So when you leave your school or you leave the classroom and you have that attitude, it reaches out and touches like other personal relationships and other aspects of your life. So I agree. I think it goes beyond, it extends beyond doing the work in the book.
Like my friend, like I want to mention my friend. He's studying the last year of dentist, but he said that believe me, after graduation, he will be a farmer. He doesn't want to be a dentist anymore. So I think okay, that's a good way because you know you don't want to do it if you like if you are helping people with with no spirit. You just okay, you teach okay, okay. What happened with this patient? Okay, you just stop. Okay, that's good. Uh, That that teach me a lot.
Yeah, but also if he wanted to be a dentist, like if he decided to become a dentist, even though his heart wasn't in it, he would still find things about being a dentist that would be rewarding,
Yeah.
and he wouldn't have probably wouldn't have to do extra things like what we're going
Mm,
to talk about today, where like not when you're a teacher, you get asked to do things above and beyond teaching, like leading clubs and running scouts and
mm,
things like that,
right.
right? And so in those instances, you're not getting paid for that. You're not getting
Yeah.
whatever for that, and you're not even
So you have to, you had
yeah
better like that a
yeah
little
yeah.
bit.
You
Like,
just
I mean,
better want to be there because there's
Phil,
nothing else for you.
yeah, Phil's earlier, the initial example of like, or dentistry or the medical field or law. I don't know about this country, but being a lawyer, most of the time in America, you have a high salary. But all of those professions, even if you don't really love them, you have some extrinsic motivation, and that's money.
Money.
So
Yeah,
you have a
right.
high salary,
Yes,
and you have no
of
extra
course.
work. Maybe if you work in the medical profession, you're on call, and um, but teaching, your money is not a motivator in any in most countries of the world,
Yes.
unless you're like a tenured professor at Harvard and you're making 200,000 a year. But really,
And even then, like the money, so much of what you deal with as being a teacher is like struggling in the room,
Mm,
and the
outside
money,
the room.
the money when you're standing in the classroom and the students make you want to die or kill all of them, the money will not make it better,
Mm,
right? The drive to be a good teacher is what, or wanting to be there, or having some kind of idea about this is a good thing to do. That's what gets you through a difficult classroom, gets you through difficult things.
mm.
but if you hate the job and you don't care about the outcome of any of your classes, then nothing's going to
Yeah.
No amount of money.
nothing's going to get you through that, and it won't get better. It'll get worse before it gets better if you really don't enjoy the job or you're not in it for the right reasons. Teachers, usually you have to go above and beyond just what is in the classroom. And Phil mentioned sports and clubs and scouts.
Yeah. So we were going to talk about the many teacher duties that teachers have, but we don't have a lot of time left today.
Mm.
So we'll focus mostly on scouts. So in Thailand, as a teacher, you have to also be a scout master. Is that right?
Right, right. We call, not we call, we put the scout into the extracurricular. We have to, the students have to study math or everything, every subject in the curriculum. But for the extracurricular activities, there are scout, there are clubs, whatever. For the scout, the teacher must must be taken into the consideration. Some teacher are sent to have the certificate, like the workshop. There are some organization like private organization where they can give you the certification that you are now you can be the master of Boy Scout. So the teacher
Mm.
sends you to like kind of seminar, like kind of workshop. I went one. Okay, I have to do all the thing like this one. Okay, light up something like that too. And
So if you don't have that, you would have a hard time finding a teaching job,
some of them,
something like that.
some of them.
Right?
Oh.
I know one teacher here in this faculty of education. She said she really like children. She really like teaching, but one thing that made she doesn't want to be a teacher in school is being a scout, because being a scout you have to go outside, you have to face with the sun ray,
Mm.
and you have to dress with the very thick.
Yeah.
So it's
You look
hot.
weird.
It's weird, yes,
Yeah.
for that teacher. But one thing I want to tell is, not one thing, two things. The first thing is my experience through these activities. Since I was students, I was taught this subject. I found it really boring. Yeah, literally boring. Because what? Because my teacher, when it comes to this period, okay, everyone, every student gather here. In the sun, in the sun, burn a
Right.
lot. And every Saturday after that subject, and that Saturday, Thursday, after that subject, my ass got burned. Really? So I don't know. I have no idea.
So you're taking you're really taking your licks and bruises here to be a teacher.
Whatever the student told, or whatever the student was telling the student to do, there's no one listen. Because what?
It's
Because
hot.
they feel hot.
Yeah, they're kids and it's hot and they're tired.
Yeah. And the activity is boring. You just follow the instruction. But the second thing is, I was sent to the seminar, like workshop, to be a master of Boy Scout. Actually, not Boy Scout. It's like the Thai race course.
The Red
Race
Cross.
course. Race cross. Okay. And it's just the same. Okay. And I found it very useful if you are doing it correct. It's like they have an activity, they have a lesson, they have a moral, they have a good activity like helping people, broken arm, dangerous. You have to live in the forest, something like that. That's very interesting. It depends on the teachers.
So the Red Cross is more like health and first aid kind of stuff.
It's like the three objective of the red Thai red course is like helping others, servant mind, and I don't know what, you know, health, health, health,
Hell.
Health.
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 Did I say hell? I meant
Public
health.
mind. Okay, one more time. Public mind, service mind, and health.
Promoting health.
Yes, promoting health.
So I think that the idea of having scouts is cool because I consider it like to be akin to wilderness survival.
Yes.
And that's cool. That's fun. Like
Wait,
camping.
is that
and
what Scouts is here? Do you do like camping and
Right. That was the charm of that.
But again, I could see again without naming names or without discussing certain situations or whatever. But many of the teachers that I have not our students, but just doing student teacher observations and a lot of the teachers that I have just met with or that I've encountered don't really seem like the wilderness survival sort. They don't seem like the type of people that would be very fun and exciting to do something like wilderness, because wilderness survival is fun. Like camping is fun, outdoor stuff is fun, fishing and hiking and like first aid stuff is
Yes.
useful and good to know. And it you're outside, you're with friends, you're
That's the
building
impression that I
like
get
camaraderie.
from Boy Scouts here is that since everyone has to do it,
It's
and
like a chore.
yeah, it
It's
becomes
like
like
a
we do it at in the playground for eighth period, and it's not
Yeah.
really the same.
and that
kind of-
sounds terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say, but it's like the transformation of the the world. In the past, the scout may want us to be survive, to be able to survive in the forest. So you have to know the skills, the survival skill.
It had
But now
more
the world
meaning.
changed.
Yeah.
It's like the students in Bangkok. Why do they have to know about this kind of thing? Maybe sometime you just change the content.
Yeah.
It depends on the teacher who organized, who planned. Yes, of course they have to write the lesson plan. They have to plan well. But as far as we see, it's like teacher just said, okay, gather, okay, light up,
Yeah.
okay, hot. Okay,
Yeah.
that's it.
In that instance, it is the educators or the teacher's job to really incite interest and motivation into the students. And as I said, I mean, most teachers in America, in any country, older teachers, or I can't imagine like an
They
older
don't
an
just
older female or teacher who doesn't have any interest in
adjust.
outdoors or anything being forced to go outside from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock or whatever the time is and talk about that. That is an extreme waste of time.
Yeah.
Well,
They have
But
to
the
adjust.
idea behind scouts is not a waste of time. But having people who are not interested in doing it, like teachers, like making it a requirement, then that's a waste of time.
so it gets us to our American culture for today, where we're going to talk about what Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts is like in America.
America. I'm gonna buy one of those little flags to wave
Yeah.
around when we introduce American culture.
So you were a Girl Scout.
I was a brownie, and then I was a Girl Scout.
What's a brownie?
A brownie is before Girl Scouts. There's daisies, brownies, Girl Scouts.
Okay.
And the Boy Scouts, I think it's only Boy Scouts. And then if you stay with it, if you become a senior Boy Scout, you become an Eagle Scout. And actually, Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts in the United States is not mandatory. It is, it's up to you. So, you can decide that you want to be a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout, and you do that after school. So school ends, the school day finishes, and then you would go to maybe once or twice a week, you would go to your Boy Scout or Girl Scout meeting.
Was it at the school or
Mine was at the school.
Really?
Yeah. But the meeting was at the school. So we would talk about, okay, we're going to have a party. Who's bringing snacks? We're going to go camping next weekend.
That would be
It's
fun.
3 hours away. Whose mother is driving? So it was a group of scouts, usually about 10 to 20 kids. And I think for every 5 or 6 kids, you would need one parent. But the leaders of the Boy Scout and Girl Scout troops, we all had a number. I was troop, I don't remember. You're given a troop number, and then someone's mother or father, depending on whether it's Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, would be the leader. So it was completely 100% elective. So it was just, you wanted to do it. Your parent wanted to do it, and so you would make it happen. We have a book. The Girl Scouts have a book, and the Boy Scouts have a book, and it's a manual. And you wear a sash, like a banner,
A bottle of
and
water.
you complete challenges. So you have like a first aid challenge, a caring challenge, you have a cooking challenge, you have a wilderness survival challenge for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, 2 weeks. And every challenge you complete, you get like a little patch, and you sew onto your sash. And I remember Girl Scouts being a lot of fun. Like, we went camping, we did activities, we traveled, we did wilderness survival,
Right.
we went on trips, like we did first aid, and we did like health responder situations. But the longer that you stay a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout, like the higher you go, if you become an Eagle Scout as a Boy Scout, that's extreme. Even today, that's pretty impressive. Like, university,
pretty
if you,
weird.
it is. They're usually a little
Yeah,
weird.
a little weird.
Yeah, not many people become Eagle Scouts. But if you are an Eagle Scout and you apply to, especially like a medical program or something in the university level, they look at that, and that's impressive.
And weird.
The point is that it's kind of the opposite of
Well,
what it is here.
One of the things that you see is like with Scouts in the States, it's much smaller groups. There's more like parent involvement, and more like, so even within the troop, you'd be like 5 or 6 to a parent or something. Whereas here, it's like the entire 10th grade
It's like
one teacher gets
Yeah.
compulsory
And we
course.
have like I remember we would you have parades, like all the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts would go for
Yes.
like holidays, like big parades, and we would make like a float. We would all march on the float, and it was
Yes.
yeah, it
The
was like
same, the same.
yeah, but the purpose of Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts is wilderness survival, like first aid responder, civil service, and like friendship and camaraderie, which is the same idea
The same idea.
as the
Thai.
Thai, but it becomes a chore because it's mandatory and everyone has to do it. Even teachers who don't want to do it, who are not interested, it doesn't matter. So that takes a lot of that sucks the life out of something that's really good, I think.
In my point of view, maybe it's because of the way that Asian people do. Can you see that a lot of ceremony, a lot of activity, there must be some like steps, the process steps of you have to respect for this one. You have to line up. You have to turn right, turn left.
Yeah.
But you don't focus on the camping. You don't focus on
just more on the
you
ceremony
lose,
type.
yeah, you lose
and the
a lot
students
of,
will never know how it's important about this kind of thing. Okay, because
So,
as far as I said it before, it was boring. But what I remember about the camping, it was really cool. I spent my time playing with my friends.
it is. And
All right.
especially now, I think that Boy
Swimming.
Scouts and Girl Scouts now, it probably is like you mentioned teaching in Bangkok that the students, why do we need to do Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts? But I think in 2015, when everyone is hooked up to the internet and constantly connected in technology, I think Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, in my opinion, is becoming increasingly more important because we don't have enough time outside. And that's important for development. But I think that that's law. A lot of that idea, the spirit of Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts is lost.
Let's talk about that slang of the day, huh? There it is.
Slang.
There it is. Slang of the day.
Slang.
So the slang of the day for this week is a word that you weren't even, or a use of a word that you weren't even familiar with, which is to call someone a Boy Scout.
Yeah, you say you are such a Boy
Scout,
or he is such a Boy Scout,
or she is such a Girl Scout.
Maybe.
I'm Miranda. Promise to do my best, to do my duty, to guide my country, to help other people obey the law of the pack. It's do your best.
I've never said.
Are you sure?
I'm familiar.
You might be able to call a girl a Boy Scout. I don't know if I've never heard someone call.
I think it's pretty. I think it's not gender discriminatory. I think that Boy Scout is.
So if you call someone a Boy Scout, it means that you're calling them. It means that they what we call a do-gooder.
Yeah,
and they're
a
always
do-gooder.
Do nice things and good things.
You know what your problem is, Hyde? I'm too good.
Which sounds good. It's really not.
Yeah. And it has a negative connotation.
Yeah, and then also means that they're someone who plays by the rules and doesn't like to do bad things or break the rules. Both in terms of like laws, but also like social conventions, what's polite and impolite.
Like straight do-gooder.
Yeah. And so, like if you think about the English section in the TEFL department, none of us are Boy Scouts because we're all just do whatever we feel like. We break the rules all the time.
Yeah.
We're real bad people. So in the States, if you call somebody a Boy Scout, it's kind of a negative thing, meaning that they're annoyingly good.
They're put together and they follow the rules to the point where it's irritating and annoying.
Yeah. Also, usually if you call someone a Boy Scout, it means that they point out the faults in other people. Like, hey, you should blah, blah, blah. Hey, button that shirt.
Don't be a Boy Scout.
Yeah, don't be a Boy Scout, buddy.
Stop being such a Boy Scout.
Now, the thing is it's a negative phrase, but it's actually kind of pointing out a positive thing. Like, you're a nice person. You follow the rules or whatever. This is nice to be.
Yeah, follow the rules like by the book.
Yeah. But when we use it in English, it has a negative connotation.
But my question is, do you like to have friends with like such a Boy Scout?
No.
My friends are not Boy Scouts.
You're a Boy Scout. We're not friends. No,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
kidding.
Too much though, it becomes a little
A lot of times,
boring, a little dull. It's a little
people who you
dull.
would call a Boy Scout, they have trouble like making friends for that reason.
Yeah, that's
Ah,
true. They
yeah.
often have trouble. They often have difficulties being
just-
like very social.
Yeah, they're too nice to have friends.
Yeah.
it was taught by his parents.
Only with other
Be like this.
yeah, or only with other people who would also be referred to as Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
They would get along with other kids who are very by the book, follow the rules,
Yeah.
straight edge.
Because it doesn't just mean good; it means good to an annoying
To a
degree.
fault, like
Yeah.
good to a fault.
But for the teachers like us, it's easier to teach Boy Scout. You know,
It's-
That's
but
true.
even then, it can-
because they
can be-
listen, they just write what we want them to write. They just speak what we want them to speak.
But if you have a student that's a Boy Scout, sometimes it can be annoying because they'll point out like, "Teacher, you're ending class early. You should go on."
Ah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. It's like
The show's
too-
over. Go home.
It goes beyond. It's to a fault.
Teacher, you said that it should be 3 pages, but he only wrote 2 1/4.
Yeah.
All right, kid. You know
Yeah.
what? Don't play in traffic.
Yeah,
okay?
like to say like, oh my, someone in the class is
He's
talking.
not flexible. is that
Yeah,
right?
not flexible.
Yeah.
But just isn't to say that it's wrong. It's just to say that somebody is a Boy Scout that they're annoyingly good.
Almost like obsessively good.
Yeah.
To a fault, inflexible.
Anyway, that's all we got
Okay.
time for today.
Huh.
That's all we got time for, like, for 2 weeks. The
Yeah.
doubleheader is over.
Yeah.
Doubleheader is over.
What did you
Well-
get from this video? Write down in the
down
comment
in the
below.
Yeah, we could get comments, man.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
Yes.
That would
But
be
the-
Fondue's the only one who's ever commented.
And it was the first video I remember.
Yeah, he
And
was
the
excited.
things
Yeah.
is, don't forget to press the button subscribe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
subscribe to the
yeah.
video.
Subscribe.
That was wonderful.
I
That's
see a lot of
amazing.
video on YouTube. Just like that. The things like
At the
that.
end, you say, "Don't
Yeah.
forget."
Don't
when
forget
you're
to
finished."
press
Don't forget
the
to
subscribe button.
Just
Yeah.
watch again next
Yeah.
week. Or don't.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Don't
Oh,
watch
yeah.
it again.
Yeah.
Okay? Just close your shut down
Close
your
browser.
computer now.
Shut your browser. Exit out of your browser. No, don't. You know what? Keep watching this.
Thank you,
It's
Fondue, for coming
Yeah.
for both
Okay,
shows.
anytime.
Yes, thank you for
Hopefully you can
for
come back
coming
for
from
the,
Bangkok.
the Halloween show, which I guess would be the next show after this one.
Of course, you will see me
For one of my favorite holidays, Halloween.
Yep.
Halloween.
And I will probably be dressed like
Dracula.
a zombie for the
I
rest of
might,
the month.
I might do the hipster thing again. To be
But,
honest.
yeah,
It's
but
not
now
like-
you've done you've used the hipster thing for 2 episodes. I think it might
I
be
think it-
dead in the water
We'll build a
after
trifecta,
this.
maybe. Who knows? Who knows?
So
Anyway.
so next time we see you, it would be Halloween.
Yeah,
My
Okay.
I
favorite.
think.
So for
I'm
today,
relatively sure that's true.
I'm like 90% sure.
Yeah.
There's always like a margin of error. But yeah, most likely Halloween. But thank you again to Fondue for coming.
Yeah.
And thank you to you for watching.
Yeah, enjoy your lives.
See ya.
Goodbye forever.
goodbye.
Mhm.